When the sun goes down on my side of town, that lonesome feeling comes to my door. What's up? What's up? Watchlist time. So, in terms of a watch list, only had one trade for me today, which was CRVO. And if you recall the trade review from Visti yesterday, VSTE, plotting those lines on the way up on the front side, and we had the exact same setup. Different point in its daily chart, but intraday wise was the exact same setup. So I typically use a 2-minute when I'm drawing these lines. You get prior low, could even put one in here. I just kind of saw it holding, so I didn't draw one. But prior support, prior resistance, prior support, we get a crack and a failed follow through setup where it starts to top at prior looking left. Market opens, stuffs under it, proactive covers into the next level. Continues to fail. I chop myself up a bit here, get stopped a full position here. So I actually went red right on this green candle, but put it back on this arrow with a bit of a wider risk. And then covered, scaled. Wasn't around as typical for the little sideways late day unwind. But I did get back in after hours. So I put some on. I have some exposure overnight for a swing, given how DWTX acted. 1, 2, 3 days. First day closed red, get an offering and gap down. CRVO being run by the same people. We get, like we went over yesterday, with the shorter and shorter the time frames. So now this is first day closing red. So I expect this to be a gap down. For EMA is sitting 440-ish. So we've got this 520 level that will be important. If this gap's below 520, I think this thing's cooked. But if we're gapping anywhere between 6 and 520, I think you'd need to see pops first red to green fail, 520 confirm for lower, or until you get levels like this from the current trading day. But for selfish sake, I just hope it trades out the same way DWTX did, and just get that gap down, easy cover, market open, whatever. So yeah, CRVO was the only trade for me today, and holding a balance overnight. What else we got? Orgo still hasn't broken 5. HMR, Dom was trading this one today. He's one of the guys over at Clover. Little kind of inside breakout here. Former is it MGOL or MLGO? I can't remember. Let me pull it up. I think it was MGOL, but let me look. Yeah, MGOL. Had a ticker change, but history of gaps, history of good breakouts, day 2 follow throughs, etc. Has had a huge fade, little volume perk, 1 day pause, 2 days starts to perk, and then you get this 320s breakout. So it topped out there off the PR this morning. Once it broke out through pre-market highs and the daily key level through those 320s, started to trend pretty well. Just given the recent overhead resistance, I chose not to take it. It ended up trading out pretty well. I would have been gone by right around here, so there's only about 50 cents of upside on it for me. but ended up going damn near 5. I was around for this washout here at close that came right into the breakout level. Not 100% sure if I really wanted to swing it, but I know everybody who was long was panic selling into this, so could have been max fear and then gap up tomorrow. So we'll see. Week opens versus these 330s, see how it builds, but currently no position on that one. RGC was a pump run in the past from that message mailer group. It wasn't one today, but given that they've been working so well, Nate had mentioned he thinks that's where kind of the rumors were, that it could be the next one with them teasing another one coming soon. It looked like people kind of started to front run this. But again, as we get those shorter and shorter time frames, DWTX goes on a 4-day move. CRVO can't even hold up on day 2. So now you get RGC that I think has the possibility of not even gapping up. They've all longs have been rewarded for gap ups, follow through. This one doesn't even have the message board behind it. So I think odds favor a gap down here. But we'll see where we're at. Apple, similar setup to Tesla going into the 11th, Reddit going into the 11th, and now we've got Apple setting up very similar. A pull from 240 now down near 200. You've got this, not this one, this looking left. I had that line drawn. Was prior support, became resistance. But you got this kind of over-under level right through here. If you zoom in, it's got a bit of a volume profile matching it. You can see kind of right through here. So prior support was like closing levels in here. So it does have a bit of looking left spot, but in combination with going into a Friday, it's been straight down now for 4 days. 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Picks its trend off the open and just fades right to close. So what they've had is these little perks into the final minutes. And what we had here was a fade into the final minutes. So I think that was a bit of a trend change today. And then combined with options expiry going into a Friday and a week's end, a lot of times they mean revert. So I think this one is worth a watch off of an opening range, and would use prior day's lows as a guide, dips versus 208s, and look to join that trend. IBIO, I just threw this one on watch because we've got a bit of a daily failed follow through. This setup's been working pretty well. PSTV, I noted that 120s line, and once that gave way, didn't have much follow through on the day of, but then going into today, if you swung it for the gap down, nice fader. So IBIO could be the same thing, where you get this 530s break, not a whole lot of range on the day of, but possible follow through on the following day. Back down to like low 4s. If you look at the daily, you can see this volume profile level here. So if 5 breaks, I think you get 4 pretty quick. And then AAOI, this one's got, you've got a bear market backdrop where everything in a downtrend is fading off of gaps. So I think odds favor the short side on these larger cap names. You get a big run up here in after hours, more of a gap up really. And then you've got all of this looking left resistance over here. So it tapped 30 and failed. So I'd be looking for any sort of strength and some failed follow through. Joined IU 2-week trial. Which chat are you at usually? Usually in the morning. I'm in the Traders Lounge around... Tomorrow with my overnights, I'll probably be there around 7:30 a.m., 4 a.m. my time. On a typical day, if I don't have overnights, it'll be between like 8, usually 8:30. And I'll pop in the lounge before market opens. And typically like right off the open, I'm not super active in chat, just because that's when everybody's talking in there. But if we can give it a few minutes off open, then I'm in the Momo room. So before open is typically in the lounge, and then usually 10-15 minutes after open, I'll pop in the Momo room. I'm in both, so like if you're shooting PMs or something in the Momo room, I'll be in there. But yeah, I've got both of them open. I'm always watching both. HD, is it also in your opinion like Apple? The old Home Depot. That's a nice day today. A bit choppier on the fade, but a nice sort of capitulation day today. Most of the volume came right at close. Damn. Nice range expansion. The volume looked a bit better here on the daily, but it all came right at the close. Just market on close orders. Imbalance. Yeah, I think you could make a case for it. But I think I would prefer Apple because it's been straight down. It's a nice pull. Even like longer term, 440, $100. You're like 20% off the highs. It's a nice pull. But yeah, you're coming into like a bunch of consolidation looking left levels. I could see it working, but I think I'd have more confidence trading something like Apple that's been just like gap down, fail, gap down, fail, gap down, fail. Where something like Home Depot, you get gap down, fail, big gap up and then fail, big gap down and then wash out. This one here, you get a gap down, save, gap down, wick through prior day's highs. It's just a bit choppier, not as clean. Where if you got something like this waterfall, you can see that mean reversion's a lot better. Where you get gap down, fail, gap down, fail, gap down, fail, gap down, fail, and then boop, little reversal day. It's not like you're picking bottoms, but this is all you're looking for, is just that little mean revert. So it'd be something like a candle like this on Apple. Didn't work so well here. It tried to bounce here. Bit choppy there. Doesn't look like it's really had a good one recently. So it might not work. Doesn't really have a good history of them working. Now that I'm looking at it again, but yeah. Alrighty. I've ran scans. Let me just check out what Nate has to say here. Value his opinion. He's just saying, looking back at CRVO, plotting those lines, look at how you could have traded it better. And I think I definitely could have traded it better. Like this, for example, I've got an entry here. I did proactive cover, which I have the power of hindsight at this point that if this pull came back and ripped back, I would have been thankful I covered. But if I'm proactively covering and not just accepting the risk, then I also need to be a bit quicker to scale, to re-add that position. Because, yeah, I had a really nice entry, risking 50 cents. And then I covered for 40 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents. So it was like a 1-to-1, not even. And then chopping myself up here, where I'm shorting pops and I'm covering for no reason. So chopping myself up for no reason. When no key levels had ever broke, we had this 740 looking left. We had this 780 looking left. So as long as 740s doesn't base, as long as 780s doesn't base, there's no reason to stop out. These scales I don't hate because it started to fail under 7. But shorting at 7 needs to be risking the prior level. And then rescaling around here, I was a bit quick on the covers, didn't let that work. Because under 680s, the next key level here is 520s. Got down to 560s, but you've got a clean fade. So definitely could have traded it better. I did buy more in my longer term account in the 553 range today. I bought some yesterday and then wired in more money and added some more. Historically, every 10% pullback is a buy. Well, really any dip is a buy historically, but typically with the markets every year and a half, you get a 10% pullback statistically. So if you're patient enough for those pullbacks, you can get some pretty good spots. And then anything into that 20 to 30% range is typically like a load up type position. Not financial advice, just what I've done and what I've seen. But once you start getting those pullbacks, and then Nate and I were joking, well, kidding, not kidding, but anything more than 30% is like a take out a loan and go all in. Because anything more than that, the world's in trouble and your money isn't really so important. Okay, let's see here. We've got a little multi-day run here on QBTS. It's not a bad look. Up from 4 to 7. Excuse me. I just sneezed into my nose. It's not really like most of the range was just a straight up spike, probably some sort of news. Gap and grind today. Not the greatest trend. What's Rigetti looking like? Ugh, blech. What kind of trend is that? QBTS is a nicer trend, but what else we got? Not seeing a whole bunch that I'd like to trade. What's Intel up to? INTC. Gap to gap. Pushing while the whole market's pulling back. News must have been earnings or something. BBY? What's this one? Best Buy. That's kind of cute. That's not a bad look. Look at how steady those pullbacks are. So market opens, rounding top, failed follow through right here, under prior low, comes back, retests, and fizzles out. I like that the action, there's no pre-market action. Just kind of opens at market open. Little push, that's the high for the rest of the day. Steady lows. Market open, little push. Fades off. Gap down. Market open, little push. Fades off. Steady lows. So now I just look for trend changes. We had low a day 74.7 and the close 74.82. Went green briefly. Opened below prior day's lows. 72.09. 72.64. 72.09. Opened below prior day's lows. High 72.64. Tapped. So it hasn't gone. It looks like it went green that day. Prior close 74.82. So it went green by 10 cents on that day. Didn't go green today. Yeah, but that one went green and immediately went red. It's good. Just got all these same market on close orders. I don't know. Could be another candidate. It's just so tough with this market. Like, everything's got so much resistance nearby. For Intel, even though it's pushing in a bear market, what about all the overhead resistance from 2 weeks ago? I don't really know. Yeah, this isn't really my area of expertise. Could markets rally tomorrow? We've just had a huge sell-off, now going into options expiry, end of week. Could we rally? Yeah, I think we're due for a gap and grind day where everyone's trained to short every gap up, and we get a gap up, low a day sets right off the open and grinds shorts all day long, tripping over themselves. I think we're due for a day like that. So if we get a gap and grind day, now that Intel's stronger in a weak market and then markets get strong, does this continue higher? Maybe. Does this overhead resistance play a role? Maybe. But I don't really have much confidence or conviction in this trade. I think you could make a case that, hey, this is gapping up into prior resistance. The news wasn't earnings. It was a new CEO appointed or something. Intel appoints Lip-Bu Tan as Chief Executive Officer. So they appointed a new CEO. So is the news good enough to keep it going? Maybe. Maybe you make a case if you're bullish for buying dips because it's strong in a bear market or in a weak market. But you could also make a case that it's overbought on so-so news and is pushing into resistance. So I think you could make a case either way. And if you're forced to trade it, I'd say see where you're at market open, put some levels on your chart, and make a plan and stick to it. But I think I would prefer not to trade it, personally. I think Best Buy's a decent watch. I think Apple's a decent watch. AEOI. This one I just think is a trash company. Like Intel has been around for a really long time. I think they're legit. AEOI, not so much. I don't think they're that great. And then with the push into 30, I just think this one was more of a hype name that got sold off and now pushing into it, where Intel has been sideways for months. When you get these kinds of moves, you get bag holders at higher prices when it's just chopping around. I don't think there's a whole lot of bag holders. I think it's more like a shareholder base. RGC. Yeah, I like RGC for basically same plan as Curvo. Same plan as DWTX going into this day, gap up, fill follow through. CRVO, higher the better, gap up, fill follow through. RGC, I doubt it gaps up. If it does, great. But I think odds favor a pullback for tomorrow. And Curvo I like for lower. So probably Curvo will be my main watch because I have a position. RGC probably secondary, and then these market related names in Apple, AAOI, BBY will be my third eye watches. Probably where I'm sitting. So that's my list for tomorrow. Won't see you guys till after the weekend. So trade them well tomorrow. Have a good weekend and rest up. And I think it'll go to 33. You're mad. You're a madman. I mean, if it gets there, I'll cheer you on, give you a high five, but I don't think it does. Alrighty, take it easy, guys. That's my watch list, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.